94.9 FM. Your dial for top news, informative programs, music, and lots more.
We are West Africa Democracy Radio.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen.
It's time to embrace a youthful mindset and envision your future. Take the lead is in your walls.
Take the lead is in your walls.
This platform serves as a space for engagement designed to equip young people to become effective leaders. They are actively contributing, creatively engaged, and determined in various fields. And now, this is Take the Lead.
Hello, West Africa, and to you, emerging leaders joining us from around the world. Welcome to Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio, the space where young voices rise, ideas ignite, and conversations don't just echo, they transform the futures. I am your host, Augustine Bilkerly. Now, let me ask you something. What language do you laugh in? And what language do you switch to when the world is watching you? Today on Take the Lead, we dive into a powerful and personal conversation. Local languages versus official languages. This dilemma of modern identity facing African youth today. And this is because across Africa, millions of young people are living between two worlds. In one world, our mother tongues carry the realm of our ancestors, our stories, our identity, our soul. In the other world, official languages like English, French, and Portuguese open doors to education, careers, and global relevance. But here's the question we must choose. Is speaking an official language a step forward or a step away from who we are? Is holding on to our local languages a form of pride or a barrier in a fast-moving global world? So, wherever you are joining us from Dakar to Lagos, Monrovia to Accra, or joining us from the North Bank region of the Gambia, stay with us and share your thoughts right here in the comment section on our live Facebook and YouTube channels at WADR English. We will read them out loud and clear. Joining us for this wonderful conversation are young professionals and a man of wisdom. Of course, it's good to drink from the fountain of the wise one. Among these young people, we have Ophili Ubibo, and Ophili is a marketing and graphic designer. Aside from that, she's also a mental well-being advocate. She's coming from Gabon, but right here in Senegal, in our studios. How are you doing, Ophili, and welcome?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me, and happy to be a part of the conversation.
And we are happy to host you. How is Senegal treating you?
Senegal is like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I never left. I never left my country. It's like I'm finding like kindred and families and friends here.
And most importantly, the language too.
Yeah, language too also, yes. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great. So welcome again. We have Ibrahim Kamara is also in our studios. Ibrahim is a business development strategist and a university lecturer. He comes from Sierra Leone, but currently in Senegal. What a privilege to have these young people with us today. How are you doing, Ibrahim? And
I'm
welcome.
doing well, thank you very much.
Do you miss home?
I'm not really, as my fellow colleague just said, Senegal is just like home. And I always identify myself not as Senegalese, not as Sierra Leonean. I identify myself as an African. So it's essential that if we do identify ourselves as Africans, everywhere we go within the continent, we should feel at home.
And what's the feeling it brings to you?
I feel good, I feel motivated, and it gives me hope that one day the African continent, we can be united and be a force to be reckoned with.
Hopefully,
globally.
we are on the track. And on my immediate right, it's Mutag Juf. And Muta is a communication student at RSM in Dakar. How are you doing, Muta? Welcome.
Well, thank you, brother. I mean, I'm so honored and I had the privilege to be in this table surrounding my brother and sister in here.
Okay.
I'm excited.
How's the studies?
I'm not going to say easy. I'm not going to say hard as well. I'm just in the middle. I'm doing my best.
You are an overcomer, so you are overcoming those obstacles.
I hope so.
Oh, great.
I hope so.
Welcome. It's a privilege to have you. Now, our wise one for today comes from the Gambia. He is a historian, and he's Hassoum Cissé. How are you doing, Mr. Cissé? And welcome to the UFO platform.
Hi, Augustine. Good evening. How are you? And greetings to the panel.
Yes. How was the Gambia, sir?
Well, we are fine. We are fine. Thank God.
Great. Welcome. It's a privilege again for us to have you joining us. Plus, you, our amazing listeners and viewers, remember, together we can achieve a fruitful discussion. So just share your thoughts with us in the comment section and we will recognize you right here on the program. It's important that we ask this question, and I will begin with Ibrahim, who comes from Sierra Leone. I'm aware of, of course, I will not be exact, but some 20, 21, 22 local languages in Sierra Leone, maybe the Creole, the Kisi, the Mandi. But you'll be telling, do you speak your local language, Ibrahim?
I speak my local language, Creole, very fluently, and I speak a little bit of Timni and can comprehend Timni as well.
Yes, Timni was the word given me a high time, but it's good that you've pronounced it. So it means that you just don't speak one local language.
No, I just don't speak one local language, and I think it's something that's common within the West African region for individuals to speak more than one language. You have your native tongue, and you have also the national language, which was given to us by our previous colonizers.
Give us the feelings in terms of how you feel when you speak those local languages.
When I speak those local languages, it makes me feel more connected to my roots. It makes me feel have a sense of pride that okay, I know where I come from and I know my roots. And one way to preserve these things is to maintain the language.
What's of you, Ophelie? Do you speak your local language?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. I know sometimes it comes like this. Maybe where you grew up, the community, the surrounding. Can you explain that?
Yes. For myself, unfortunately, I didn't grow up with my maternal family. Okay. So we were in another city. So in Gabon, you have like different ethnic from different part of the city. So you're not usually in the same area. So we export ourselves to another city, and I didn't grow up with my grandfamily because in tradition, your grandparents are the ones supposed to teach you how to speak your local language. And unfortunately, I haven't that opportunity. I didn't have that opportunity. And contrary to Ibrahim, I felt a little bit left out. But I think it's different from here where you can hear everyone on the street talking. In Gabon, it's not that common, so I didn't feel out of place there. But when I left is when I noticed the difference in even the traditional way of speaking. That's when I tried to kind of combat or fight this. Yes.
And you're aware of those local languages. I'm aware of the Fang, the Punu. Am I getting those names right?
I mean, it's there. So we have Fang. I am Fang. Okay. And I am Teke from my father and Obamba from my father. So my mother is Fang. And I think Fang is the most spoken. We have the most people that is Fang in Gabon. Okay. Yes.
And now it makes the conversation so balanced.
Yeah.
How do you feel lost in terms of identity or connection with your root? Do you see some disconnect?
So yes and no. Because when I was in Port-Gentil, this is where I grew up, and it wasn't that present, and I didn't feel that lost. But when I went to my grandfather, my family's city, Libreville, that's when I start to see the difference and the separation. And when you hear your grandfather talking to your cousin in like the language and you cannot contribute, you feel a little bit left out. And yeah, I felt growing up that I wasn't a part of what was taught or taught to my fellow family members, and I kind of like grew to hate going back to Libreville. Rather,
Well,
yeah.
yes, we'll get back to you for more. I mean, it's interesting. I don't want to hear that Mutar doesn't speak Wolof or either Jola or Madinka or so, but let's hear from him.
All right, brother,
Mutar.
let's be clear. I only speak Wolof out of all the fucking languages in Senegal. Like, I'm not hiding. And
Okay.
I got it from my father. My father is a Sere. Sere is also a local language,
Yeah.
but he doesn't speak it. So I'm not gonna blame myself for not speaking the language, even my father doesn't speak. So I only speak Wolof, and I don't even understand Wolof 100% because when you grow up, there's some common word that people will teach you, like how we say money, how we say eat, drink, but like the deep conversation, you're not gonna understand it. So if you meet, for example, with some adults and they speak you real Wolof, you might think they cursing because you don't understand. So I understand Wolof, but not that deep though. Not
Okay.
that deep, yes.
And now, to you, Mr. Cisse, you've heard the young people. This is how we'll be coming to you gradually.
yes, I
Gradually,
do.
we'll be coming to you after hearing from our young people for pieces of advice or some relevant information. In an overview, yes, you were coming. In an overview, just for a few minutes or so, would you mind explaining the existence of the local language now coming into play with what we now have as official languages?
Thank you very much, Augustine. Maybe we should call them national languages for it to be more representative. And it is important and very useful that you started by doing the round, table there. Two things should also, be considered. Generally, Africans are multilingual in the sense that even if you do not speak the language, you are exposed to it every day. In certain homes, for example, the mother will be communicating with the children in one language, the father in another language, and when they are outside the home, playing with friends, they are exposed to maybe, one or more languages. So the exposure is very, very important. Ability to communicate in it is one thing, but the exposure, to multiple languages also, I think, is the experience of almost all Africans. That is important. Now, something that is also important, it's the fact that each of our African languages, all these national languages, borrow from each other. Therefore, if you are fluent in one, you have a direct window into one or more. So even if you believe you are not fluent in one, you still have, like a leeway into the other languages. So those are two things I wanted to clarify here. Okay. Now to come back to your question, each of our national languages can be an official language. They're expressive. They have a worldview. They have a vocabulary. In some of the languages, even like why in Liberia, have an alphabet of their own. So the fact is that each African language can serve as an official language, meaning a language of diplomacy, a language of administration, a language, of technical reports, and so on. So the potential is there. But maybe before the end of this program, we will come to that so that we look at the potentials
Okay.
of our national languages to
Yes.
be languages of communication and development.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sise. Please, our online viewers will need to see you. Okay, thank you. So you can be on video so that our online viewers or followers can see you. Thank you. Now, you've heard from Mr. Sise for you, Ibrahim. But let me ask you this question. Have you ever been judged positively or negatively based on the language you spoke before, or maybe you continue to speak?
From being from Sierra Leone, we have Creole, which is a blend of Portuguese, English, French, and a bit of Yoruba and local languages. That is something that is always on the ground. One thing I want to highlight, in Africa, we judge people based on their proficiency in speaking our colonizers' language. So one thing, when you speak Creole in certain environments in Sierra Leone a lot, they tend to judge you. Speak in English, speak proper English. So as I said earlier, it has been instilled in Africans to see people that cannot construct English or French or Portuguese properly as people that are not well educated or are not up to par. So definitely I've been judged for sometimes loving my own language too much. I can speak perfectly, but sometimes when I want to speak my local Creole, just because it makes me feel comfortable, it makes me feel, okay, like I'm in my own environment, in my comfort zone. And sometimes there is a bit of judgment that comes with it.
And how do you react to those load of judgments or criticism, one would say?
Always, I've been somebody that's very deep in learning history, so I always tell them this is what our people are speaking. I'm not going to be fully Eurocentric, so this is one way of me maintaining my own African identity.
Okay, and that brings me to Mukhtar, who says, for now, only the Wolof, but I know gradually you will try to learn other local languages. But how do you feel? Maybe the reaction could be like, among all these 20 plus local languages, you only speak Wolof. How do you feel or react to those kinds of criticisms or stereotypes?
I'll be honest, I can feel a little bit shameful sometimes because, in my school at ISM, I'm in class full of other nationality, Congolese, Gabonese, and many more. So when I speak Wolof, they kind of judge me, say I may be racist or a little bit something. And I tell them, if I speak to one of my friends sometime, do I really need to speak French because I'm talking to him? And if I really have the ability to speak your local languages, maybe I will do it, but that's not my fault. And at the same time, like I say in the beginning, I don't want to judge my parents, and I'm doing my best to understand all the local languages, whether it can be, let's say, Lingala is a language that I really love, but I don't understand. I just love the way they speak it, but I don't understand. I got one of my classmates that really speak it very well. I don't know what he's trying to say, but I'm doing my best to understand it. So within 1 year or two, I'll be able to speak all the
But do you
languages.
feel that disconnect? Do you feel that it is affecting your identity, that you're not able to maybe properly speak Wolof or to speak additional local languages in Senegal?
As soon as I'm in Senegal, no. No, I think people tend to speak more Wolof than any other language. French or Wolof. English is even optional. But if you speak Wolof, you can be in any other area. So.
One will believe that speaking, like Mr. Sise said, national languages gives you more opportunity over local languages. Do you believe that, Ophelie?
National language as in...
As the foreign language?
Oh, okay. Yes, I think so. Because usually, like Ibrahim said, there is a stigma around not being able to speak the official language, like from us is French. So growing up, I was also part of the people that were judging. So I had this sense of superiority to be able to speak fluently French and be able to converse in French. And then after learning and having myself surrounded with people from my family, my maternal family, that's when I have a shift and I try to understand where it's coming from. So I think for me, the national language has opened a lot of doors for my family specifically. That's why I think growing up, my mom didn't really speak the Fon. Okay. She tried to teach us how to speak properly French, and that's how it was, and I didn't think it was a bad thing. And then, yeah, and you see now with this kind of talk and discussion, you're trying to learn why I don't even know why I didn't think it was a bad thing. I cannot explain it.
Now, whenever you get back into Gabon,
yeah,
and you hear your colleagues or maybe parents,
yeah,
relatives,
yeah,
they are greeting you in fun.
Yeah,
they are even saying welcome, but you're
yeah,
not understanding it. How? Tell me, do you feel pressure to learn, those local languages?
I don't feel like it's a pressure. I feel like I miss a big part of myself, okay, and then I try to learn it now. And I know how to greet people, fortunately, and I know like him a little bit of some small words. Okay. And yeah, I don't feel like even the critics that I get from not being able to speak Fon, I don't think it's coming from like a bad place. I think it's like a place of worry, because we are the youth, and if me as a youth, I don't speak my ethnic language, my heritage, so it's worrying for the future.
Okay. Now, and to you, Mr. Sisse, like Ibrahim was speaking and he mentioned something about colonizers. And I'm concerned, I'm concerned about the role that colonialism play in shaping our local languages with that of what you term now as national languages.
Colonialism played a very, very important role in shaping the national languages. Sometimes it was in a negative way, and sometimes it was in what you can call a positive way, although it may not have been intended as that. It has to be noted that the colonialists had to have a fair idea of our national languages to be able to undertake the colonial project and for it to be successful as it was. They had to, for example, spend a lot of money on hiring interpreters so that they would be able to, communicate, with the subjects, the colonial subjects. That led to also a very, very timid, attempt to even, if you like, codify, certain African languages, give them, a vehicular, status, like a vehicular language status. You had, newspapers, newsletters or news bulletins, published, in the national languages. For example, in the Gambia in the 1940s, during the Second World War, when they needed to do propaganda, the British needed to do propaganda, they issued news bulletins, in Mandinka and in Wolof, so as to, attract the attention of the colonial subjects to the progress that, that the Allies, were making against Hitler. You had, newspapers, published in national languages, targeting farmers, how to apply fertilizer, how to rotate your crops, and similar information. So you can see that, where it suited them, the colonialists were eager, if not willing, to use the national languages, to sort of add value to them, by turning them into publications, into languages that somebody, can read. In fact, there was also an attempt in the Gambia here and in Sierra Leone, and to some extent in Liberia in the 1950s, where instructions, at certain grades in the school system, in the Western school system, was done in certain national languages. So there was this timid, if you like, incoherent, attempt, by the colonialists to add value to the national languages. But of course, it was done to serve, their purpose. I mean that has to be very, very clear. Yes.
Okay, that's right. And I think Ibrahim will say something about that because you mentioned something about propaganda during those days when the people want to run some propaganda, they put it in the newspapers and put it in many so, to confuse maybe Westerners. But is there this disadvantage, or if you may, disadvantages, if one doesn't speak his or her local languages? Do you see some disadvantages that person will face for you, Ibrahim?
Yes, because one, local languages carry culture, values, and
Yeah. Yeah.
indigenous knowledge systems. They're essential for preserving identity and fostering a sense of belonging, okay? And they also play a critical role in education. Research constantly shows that children learn more effectively when taught in their mother tongue, especially in early years. So it's very essential that we know our local languages. And we can take examples from our people from the Far East Asia, the Chinese, the Koreans. They preserve their languages. And they've used these languages to transform their countries, transform their economies to first world or developing economies. And I believe the same thing can be implemented in Africa because most things we cannot do might be our lack of understanding of language. But if we have our own language, it will help us to preserve our cultures. It will help us to develop educationally, politically, and socially. Another example I want to give is Ethiopia, the only country in Africa that was not colonized. They have their own alphabets, they have their own education system, they have their own well-structured social enterprises. So it's evident that it not maintaining your local language might disturb your country politically, socially, economically, and culturally, which is the most important thing.
Well, you are listening to Take the Lead, your finest youthful program that sets the agenda for current discussions about young people within West Africa and beyond. We are having some young professionals discussing local languages versus official languages, the dilemma of modern identity facing African youth. Today, follow us live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service, worldwide at WADR.org. Share your knowledge with us and we will read them right out.
Hey people, my name is Mello, Afrobeat singer from Guinea, and I love listening to the program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
Hello, my name is Fatou Bintou Asuke. I'm the CEO of African Start Shop, and I love listening to your program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
And so welcome back. Please be with us. Let's transition to the fast-paced growing phenomenon we have in the world called technology, which can make and break an individual. It can empower you. It can also disable you through many forms. For you, Muta, we have the social media. People learn from it. And language is very key in terms of communicating with the social media or on the social media. Firstly, what do you make of the role of social media in terms of languages, considering your local languages and that of the national language? Is it having any positive impact, or can it be used to also help other young people learn their local language? Is that possible to you?
I mean, let's say yes, it's helpful because, for example, in Instagram, when you make a post or a story, I think they have an AI automatic that can show you how to translate what you want to say. Recently, they put local languages in there, and that is something very important.
Do you find your wall up there?
Yes, but
or you have not tried?
I mean, the meaning is not that good 100%. But I think that's something that they are developing right now, and at the same time, I mean, there's a negative way because the fact that people understand it in the internet and how they discuss in their family is different. So, for example, I can choose a language in the internet or the word that I understand in the internet, and I show it to my mother and my father, and he tend to be angry with me because they say they kind of use it in a bad way, so it kind of affect your perception. People tend to learn more how to curse rather than how to. Yes, I mean that's the actuality. They're going to teach you how to curse more, how to speak fluently. Okay. So I think the internet in that way, yeah, that's a bad way.
Okay, I see you have an interest in this,
Yes.
Ophelia.
So I was in South Africa. This is where I learned my English.
Okay.
And I was talking with friends from Brazil, Italia, and they were like, "Oh, teach me some word in French." And then I said, "Okay, what do you want to learn?" And exactly, they just wanted to learn swear word.
But African youths making use of these apps to learn their local languages, or they are more concerned or concentrating on either French or the English or Portuguese?
I think we are more concentrated on the national language, because I think what is kind of like a bridge, because for me, myself, if I want to learn an opinion from someone from Sierra Leone or from someone from Senegal, I'm not going to be able to understand the whole of. So I'm looking for a way to understand the message that's been passed. And unfortunately for us, it's just French. But like I say, I'm learning now my local language. But unfortunately, like you said, it's not very accurate. So, and for us, we don't have it in Google Translate. We're not here yet. We're not there yet. But, and so sometimes you have to rely on other unofficial way of learning. I feel it would be a great thing that if we can learn our local language without judgment, because that's what we fear, is the judgment, to be like, oh, you don't speak your local language, so you should be able to speak it. We want a place where we can learn that language without being guilt-free, like they do on TikTok. They have tutorials or teach people how to speak Mandarin or Cantonese. So we can have it. We can do it that way also.
But to what extent are those apps or the social media creating the opportunity for young people to learn the local languages?
No, I think it's very far from that, because social media is working on algorithm, so they're trying to push something that you're going to watch, and something that is watchable, like the most watchable things, and usually is content from the national language, like French, English. They're going to push it, and so you will need to fight more to be able to find the kind of information that you need on social media. And unfortunately, the AI algorithms is like that. You cannot really find it if you're not looking for it.
What's about you, Mr. Sisi, considering this strength, technology, and our local languages?
Well, I want to say that Africans, should make, effort to speak the mother tongue. It's like somebody said earlier, it's the identity. It is unthinkable for a Danish, for example, to say, I cannot speak. A Danish, in fact, you are a Dane because, you speak the language. So, like, you are French, likely, not just because of the passport, but because, you embrace French, as a language, which also, the culture, the cuisine, the traditions, the worldview. So every effort should be made to be able to understand and use the mother tongue. It's very, very important. Sometimes I think in the effort that we make, to learn what I can call foreign languages, namely European languages, if we make half that effort, just half or even a quarter of that effort, it will help to regenerate and to regrow our mother tongue.
But Mr. Sisi, just a second. From your own observation, would you say that African youths are putting more time and making more efforts to learn their local languages, or they are focused on the national languages?
Well, I think there's a lot of effort, yes, but maybe not enough. They create songs, in the mother tongue. I create poetry, in the mother tongue. Some of the most, popular musicians, in the country, use, the African languages. The films, television, series, the most popular, are in the mother tongue. So there is a lot of effort. But um, it's not enough. Understanding the language and be ready and able to use it without complex. And I think that's very, very important, Augustine. Sometimes it's psychological. I don't know why, a youth from, Liberia, and a youth, from Sierra Leone, should communicate, in a European language. These are, you have these transbounded languages. Kisi is there. Polani is there, for example. Just to name two. Our sister from Gabon, and Guinea Equatorial. There are transboundary languages. Gambia and Senegal. Jola, Mandinka, Sere, Wolof. So the obstacle, I think, is largely psychological. People don't have the confidence. They don't believe that they can be as expressive in the national languages, in the mother tongue, as in the European languages. Which is a big obstacle, and I think it has to be crossed. We have to break the psychological barrier and see the mother tongue as effective, in communication as any other European language. And Augustine, finally on this, you have to know that some of our African languages are 10, 15 times bigger in terms of numerical strength than in some of these European languages. How many people speak Estonian? Augustine. How many people speak Latvian? How many people speak Montenegrin? A few millions. How many people speak Fong? How many people speak Wolof? In the tens of millions. If you like. Fuller in the dozens of millions. So our African languages are powerful. They have a big potential. I think we have to break this psychological barrier and stop seeing them, as not, good enough to express what we want to say in technology, in science, and so on.
Okay, and now that brings me into the role of educators, the educational stakeholders that we have in Africa. Let me speak with you, Ibrahim. Are they doing well to ensure or preserve the mother tongues that we have, our local languages? To some extent, one would say educational institutions are to some extent offering maybe courses or lessons in local languages in some countries. But is it reaching a place where we will have to compulsorily have these local languages being taught in schools?
Looking at the recent trends in Burkina Faso with President Ibrahim and Rwanda, the initiatives they've taken to change from the colonial language and encourage their own population to use more of the local language. Apart from that, African nations really, for example, in Sierra Leone, when you're taking the Beka, there's Mende and other local languages, but it's not taken with utmost seriousness as they take the English or other international languages. So I can say that it's definitely something that we need to work on, and it's definitely something that our governments need to put more attention into, to at least create that infrastructure in which will enable our youth to use their own local languages for national development.
But now that they are prioritizing mostly the national languages and including other foreign languages for you, Mukhtar, do you think it's a form of suppression on the local languages?
Yes.
When these institutions are only teaching in English, French, Portuguese?
I've always said that we will never ever understand our local languages. if in school we don't even allowed to speak our local language. It's completely forbidden. You have to speak either French or English. So how do you want us to understand our local English, our local languages if you don't, if you are not even allowed to speak it at school? So I think the first ever solution that the government can do is to prioritize local language in our educational system. So even if I know the understanding is more easy and accessible for young people to understand in French and English, but also local languages. They will do their best to understand it for sure.
We have the various stages, and I'll come to you, Philly. Primary, secondary, tertiary levels. How do you think it should start?
Like you said, I also saw somewhere that children are like sponges. They retain more information and tend to learn quickly and easier when they are young. So I feel like we should start younger. So that is kind of became like a second way of thinking. So you think you learn your language from I think primary school is the way to start, or even before that. So I need to teach our children how to speak. The first word you should say is a traditional word.
Do you think that is possible right now, or it would take decades to overcome this challenge?
I think now, I don't think, for me, no. But I feel like it will be possible because I didn't grow up. I think most people in the education sector, you learn about France, you learn about America, and you have like maybe a small portion on African history. So throughout my education years, until high school, I didn't have a good understanding of our history. So as per se, so I think you should be able to kind of teach this and learn it quicker and earlier.
Wouldn't it be a burden, especially when you're coming up? There are too many subjects you need to learn in schools, and sometimes you are being taught in French or English, but then addition to that, you want to teach the wall of the Jola. Isn't that a burden? Wouldn't that be a burden for you, Ibrahim?
As my fellow colleague just said, children are the sponges. So I think if you want to create a country, or you want your nation to have youth that speak the local language, it starts from the grassroots age. It starts from the youth age. So it's very essential. And once they learn this language at a young age, it's not a burden to jump from one language to another. As I said, it's common in Africa for the youth to be bilingual, to learn your mother tongue that you have at home, and when you go out, you speak the national language. So it's not a burden, but we just need to, I think we just need to have more respect for our identity. So making it, even if it's a French country, putting the signs in one language and the local language, it's one way they can do it. It's not only through the educational system. It's a 360 enlightenment that is needed. So not only going to the schools, but also when you go outside, you see the signboards, English or in French or in a local language. That will help create that sense of identity.
All right. Now, closing up with you, Mr. Sise, as you take leave of us, dive into this issue about the educational role that needs to be played in helping to also have young people understanding their local languages and prioritizing them. What do you think needs to be done?
Well, here in the Gambia, recently, a good move, occurred in the sense that some of the mother tongue languages were now adopted as a policy, as medium of instruction in the early grades. And I think that is a very, very good move, and that's the way forward. And obviously, it has to be clear, and this is very, very important to bear in mind. Look, if you say I'm in Spanish, in Spain, Augustine, there are a dozen or more languages in Spain. you have Castilian, you have Catalan, you have Asturian, you have Aragonese, you have Corsican, in the country, in the Kingdom of Spain. But by consensus, they adopt, Spanish. But when they retire in their sitting rooms and in their bedrooms, you speak, the language, if you are from Castile, you speak Castilian. If you are from, Barcelona, you speak, Catalan. This has to be, very clear. If you are in the UK, the same thing. And there's Welsh, there is, Gaelic, there is, Scottish, but if you are, in London, in an office, in London, use English. So a consensus is important.
Okay.
We can, by consensus, promote any of our languages to the status of official. And already, for example, if you are in Sierra Leone, in Freetown and the big cities, everybody, can understand Creole. It's by consensus. In public sphere, they speak Creole. But when they are back in their homes, they speak Fula or Mende or Temne. The same thing if you are in Dakar. Everybody,
Okay.
in the public space, speaks in Wolof. But when they go into their homes, it's Serer and Jola and so on. So I think a way forward, is to know that language is consensual. People can accept that. Well, this is the language that we will take, and then that does not demean in any other language. In fact, it adds value. To every other language. And finally, on this issue, you mentioned about the role of the social media. I think it's very, very important. It can help to promote our languages. That has very, very clear. You know that Europeans also learn African languages. That should be clear. If you go to the African studies programs in the United States of America, Wolof is being taught, Jola is being taught, Mandinka is being taught, Hausa is being taught. This is why I want us, before you close the program, to really agree on the terminologies here. I hear you say local languages. I hear you say national languages.
So,
I say mother tongue.
So we are adopting. We are
from my angle. Augustine, a second. From my angle, national languages are our mother tongue. If you say English, French, maybe you can call them European languages. I hope before the end of the program, you define the vocabulary here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cisse, for sharing the platform with us again today. It was worthy having you with us, sir. We'll always keep in touch with you. Thanks so kindly. Okay, that was Mr. Cisse joining us from the Gambia. Now, as we close up, Ibrahim, what would you want to see an Africa look like in terms of young people trying to balance their national languages with what Mr. Cisse would say, foreign languages or international languages?
Thank you very much. I just want to close it by saying Africa does not need to abandon its languages to modernize. True progress will come when local languages are seen not as barriers, but as assets. The future of African youth is not only about speaking the world's languages, it's about ensuring the world also hears Africa's voice clearly and confidently in all its diversity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will keep in touch, Ibrahim, and we hope to have you another time, another interesting conversation.
Thank you very much.
What's about you, Mukhtar? What's your message to young people out there?
We should not choose between identity and globalization. We need both. We're not going to give up our local languages. I think that's disrespecting to our ancestors. Yes. But if you talk about official languages, we need it. We need it internationally wise. We need it. Okay. There's some cooperation aspect, some work. Local languages don't have any to do over there. So we need both. We're trying to balance between the two.
Thank you. And to you, Ophili, Your recommendations?
So I just want to say to everyone to not be scared, to try to learn. It's never too late. And we have so much history, we have so much heritage that needs to be documented. So the West is not going to do it. We're going to do it by ourselves. We're going to learn from our ancestors. We're going to learn for heritage. We're going to learn for our history. So it starts with languages. It starts with cultural things that we have. And yeah, I just wanted people to not stop learning from different African countries. We are all African, like Ibrahim said, and I wish the best to everyone. Thank you.
Right. Well, listeners and viewers, that's it on this edition of Take the Lead on West Africa, the Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM, Dakar, Senegal, and online at WADR.org. We are glad you joined us again today. Please join us next Friday for another episode of this program. Remember to take the lead in shaping the discourse for the betterment of young people in Africa. My name is Augustine Belkali. I'll talk to you another time.
We thank you for listening to this program in Nigeria on Darling FM 107.3 Owerri, Southeast. We thank our listeners in Liberia on Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Nova County, Kwakete Radio 100.9 FM, Bagan, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riversest. In Sierra Leone, we thank our listeners on African Young Voices, Freetown, Radio Bath 91.3 FM, Eastern Community Radio FM 101.9 Kenema. In Ghana, Radio Pod, Savannah Region, Reals FM 104.7 Wenchi. In the Gambia, on Numi FM 94.0 North Bank Region. Radio Veritas 102.9 FM, The Gambia.